Welcome to this edition of News Today, a series where we briefly discuss and analyze important news of the day. Without delay, take a look at the headlines first. Election Commission of India announced Model Code of Conduct (MCC) for upcoming 2024 parliamentary elections. 6 heritage sites of Madhya Pradesh included in UNESCO's tentative list. Ministry of Chemical and Fertilizers announces revised guidelines for scheme for strengthening of pharmaceutical industry (SPI). Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change notified captive elephant transfer or transport rules 2024. 204th meeting of the SEBI Securities and Exchange Board of India concluded with some major approvals. Scientists using IceCube Neutrino Observatory in Antarctica detect 7 potential astrophysical tau neutrinos that pass through Earth. In the very first news, Election Commission of India (ECI) announced Model Code of Conduct (MCC) for upcoming 2024 parliamentary elections. MCC comes into effect after Election Commission of India announced that the country would vote in 7 phases from April 19th to June 1st, and results will be announced on June 4. MCC is a set of guidelines laid down by ECI to govern conduct of political parties and candidates in run-up to an election to ensure free and fair elections. This is in keeping with Article 324 of Constitution, which gives ECI power to supervise elections to Parliament and state legislatures. It is operational from date that the election schedule is announced till date that results are announced. It is not enforceable by law, but some provisions are enforceable through corresponding provisions in statutes like Representation of People Act 1951 and more. Here are the activities prohibited after implementation of MCC. Candidates cannot announce financial grants. Moreover, government cannot launch new projects. No promise from authorities related to infrastructure development like roads. Prohibition of any ad hoc appointments in government or public undertakings. Minister or candidates cannot sanction grants or payments from discretionary funds. Lastly, ban of government resources like transport, machinery, and more for campaigning. Now let's learn about the role of ECI in light of evolution of MCC. In 1960, MCC was first introduced in state assembly elections in Kerala. In 1974, ECI directed Chief Electoral Officer to constitute district-level standing committee under which district collector kept check on MCC violation. In 1979, ECI added a section to regulate party in power and prevent it from gaining an unfair advantage during elections. And in 2013, Supreme Court in S. Subramaniam Balaji vs. State of Tamil Nadu case directed ECI to include guidelines regarding election manifestos, which it had included in MCC.
In our next news, 6 heritage sites of Madhya Pradesh have been included in UNESCO's tentative list. Inclusion in tentative list is first step towards nominating a site for inscription on the UNESCO's World Heritage List. World Heritage is a destination for places of outstanding universal value to humanity. Let us have a look at the sites included in UNESCO's tentative list. The Gwalior Fort. It was completed in the 8th century AD by Raja Surya Sen, consisting of Man Mandir Palace, Gujari Mahal and Sas Bahu temples. Khuni Bhandara in Burhanpur. It is an underground water management system which was built by Abdur Rahim Khane Khana during Jahangir's reign. It is based on the Persian Kannat approach. The rock art sites of Chambal Valley. It is a rock art in hilly areas of Vindhyan, Satpura and Kaimur ranges. Bhojeshwar Mahadev Temple in Bhojpur. It is Lord Shiva's temple built during the 11th century under Raja Bhoj. Built in Bhumija style, which is an evolved form of Nagar style during the Paramal period. Gond monuments of Ramnagar Mandla. They are the architectural complexes built by Gond rulers consisting of Moti Mahal, Rai Bhagat Ki Kothi and Begum Mahal. And lastly, the historical ensemble of Dhamnar. It is a rock-cut site consisting of 51 monolithic Buddhist caves in 5th to 7th century CE and Hindu temple complex or Dharma Rajeshwar temple.
Moving on to the next news. Ministry of Chemical and Fertilizers announces revised guidelines for scheme for strengthening of pharmaceutical industry (SPI). SPI scheme addresses requirement for support to existing pharma clusters to improve productivity, quality, and sustainability to make India a global leader in pharma sector. The tenure is from financial year 2021-22 to financial year 2025-26. SPI scheme has 3 components: assistance to pharmaceutical industry for common facilities (APICF), revamped Pharmaceutical Technology Upgradation Assistance Scheme RPTUAS, Pharmaceutical and Medical Devices Promotion and Development Scheme PMPDS. Let's take a deeper look at the components APICF and PMPDS. APICF's aim is to strengthen existing pharmaceutical clusters' capacity for their sustained growth by creating common facilities. The tenure is of 5 years and the limit of incentive will be 70% of approved project costs or Rs 20 crore, whichever is less. The eligible activities include research and development labs, testing laboratory for pharma products, effluent treatment plants, logistics centers, training centers. Project Management Consultant PMC, an agency appointed by Department of Pharmaceuticals DOP, will be responsible for monitoring. The benefits of the scheme are improvement in quality standards and environmental regulatory compliance, reduction in waste of manufactured pharma products, lastly, increased availability of trained personnel for pharma clusters. On the other hand, PMPDS aims to facilitate growth and development of pharmaceutical and medical devices sectors through conducting studies, awareness programs, and more. The tenure is of 5 years. The eligible activities include database creation of pharmaceutical and medical device sector and more. The monitoring for this is also handled by PMC. It will be beneficial as it will bring awareness about government policies and identifying problems or issues faced by the industry.
In our next news, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has notified Captive Elephant Transfer or Transport Rules 2024. The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has notified rules in exercise of powers conferred under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Before we begin, let us first get to know about the Indian elephant or Elephas maximus. It is a subspecies of Asian elephants native to the Indian subcontinent. Their natural habitat is dry thorn forest, moist and dry deciduous forest, and tropical evergreen and semi-evergreen forest. As per Elephant Census 2017, Karnataka has the highest number of elephants, followed by Assam. Talking about their characteristics, the leader of an elephant group is always a female and their maximum gestation period is 22 months. Talking about their conservation status, their IUCN status is currently endangered. CITES status is Appendix 1 and WPA 1972 Schedule 1. Coming back, now let us have a look at the key highlights of the rules. Application for the transfer of captive elephants shall be made to Deputy Conservator of Forest having jurisdiction over area where elephant is registered. On receipt of application, the Deputy Conservator of Forest shall obtain a certificate of veterinary practitioner. Furthermore, conduct inquiry and physical verification of facility where elephant is presently and proposed to be housed. And lastly, forward the application or report to the Chief Wildlife Warden or CWW within 15 days. They can be transferred within state after the report examination. And the Chief Wildlife Warden may permit or reject transfer of captive elephants within 7 days. For transfer outside of states, the Chief Wildlife Warden of donor state shall forward application to CWW of recipient state within 15 days. Though few terms and conditions are to be followed for the transfer. Those are: they can be transferred if the owner is no longer able to maintain the elephant. There can be no transfer unless the genetic profile of the animal has been entered in electronic monitoring application of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And lastly, the elephant transfer shall be effected within a period not exceeding 3 months from date of grant of permission. And lastly, the transport permit shall not be for more than 1 month.
In another news, 204th meeting of SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India, concluded some major approvals. SEBI announced launch of beta version of optional T+0 settlement for limited scrips and brokers. T+0 settlement allows both funds and security transactions to be settled on same day when the trade is initiated. Presently, Indian securities market operate on T+1 settlement cycle. In terms of enhancing ease of doing business for foreign portfolio investors, FPIs, it exempted additional disclosure requirements for FPIs holding more than 50% of their India Equity Assets Under Management AUM in a single corporate group. Relaxed timelines for the disclosure of material changes to their designated depository participant DDP. FPI registrations that expire due to non-payment of registration fee shall be permitted to be reactivated within 30 days. It will also help facilitating ease of doing business for companies coming for initial public offerings (IPOs), that is, a process for company to be publicly listed. Doing away with the requirement of 1% security deposit in public or rights issue of equity shares. Changes in size of offer for sale shall be based on only either issue size in rupees or number of shares. Lastly, enhancing trust in AIF, Alternative Investment Fund ecosystem, by introducing due diligence measures for investors and investments. AIF is a privately pooled investment vehicle which collects funds from investors for the purpose of investing. Further, let's understand the difference in FDI and FPI. FDI is an investment by a person resident outside India in an unlisted Indian company or in 10% or more of its paid-up equity capital of a listed Indian company. FPI is an investment by a person resident outside India in equity instruments like shares, debentures, where such investment is less than 10% of paid-up equity capital of a listed Indian company.
Moving on to the last news for the day. Scientists using IceCube Neutrino Observatory in Antarctica detect 7 potential astrophysical tau neutrinos that pass through Earth. Astrophysical neutrinos are high-energy neutrinos that originate from the farthest reaches beyond our galaxy. As they travel massive distances undisturbed, they can help us understand about evolution of the universe. Let us first understand what are the neutrinos. Neutrinos are the subatomic particles that have no electrical charge and very small mass, which might even be zero. They are the most abundant particles in the universe and they have very little interaction with matter. Neutrinos travel closer to speed of light and are incredibly difficult to detect, hence called the ghost particles. They are produced through many natural processes such as sun's nuclear reactions and particle decays in Earth, particle accelerators and nuclear power plants. Lastly, neutrinos come in 3 different flavors. Those are electron, muon and tau. Moving on, now let us discuss about IceCube, the South Pole Neutrino Observatory. It is a cubic kilometer neutrino particle detector located near the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station. IceCube is the first gigaton neutrino detector ever built and was primarily designed to observe the neutrinos from the most violent astrophysical sources. It uses strings or cables of digital optical modules to detect neutrinos. In 2013, IceCube presented its first evidence of high-energy astrophysical neutrinos originating from cosmic accelerators. Now let us have a look at the India-based Neutrino Observatory project. It aims at building an underground laboratory for studying neutrinos, located at Pottipuram in Bodhi West Hills of Theni district of Tamil Nadu. This project is jointly funded by the Department of Atomic Energy and the Department of Science and Technology. The place in news for today is Somalia with its capital Mogadishu. It is in news recently as the Indian Navy has foiled further attempts of Somali pirates using hijacked MV Ruin. Talking about its political boundaries, it is the easternmost country of Africa located on the Horn of Africa. It shares its land borders with Kenya and Ethiopia in the west and Djibouti in the northwest. It shares its water borders with the Gulf of Aden in the north and the Indian Ocean in the east. Talking about its geographical features, its highest peak is Mount Shimbiri and its major rivers are Juba and Shebeli.
As we conclude today's main news, let's take a look at some quick updates. Minister for Tribal Affairs laid the foundation stone of Center for Preservation and Promotion of Tribal Culture and Heritage in Jharkhand. Minister also inaugurated renovated National Unique Tribal Museum and e-library at Bharatiya Adim Janjati Seva Sangathan, New Delhi. Reserve Bank Integrated Ombudsman Scheme saw a significant 68.2% increase in complaints in financial year 2023 compared to financial year 2022. The scheme adopts One Nation, One Ombudsman principle and provides single window for resolution of complaints against RBI-regulated entities. Government released a new Kalpa Suvarna and Vittal Cocoa Hybrid 1 and Vittal Cocoa Hybrid 2 developed by Central Plantation Crops Research Institute. Kalpa Suvarna is suitable for copra and tender coconut production. It starts flowering 30 to 36 months after planting. A joint military exercise Lamitiye 2024 conducted between Indian Army and Seychelles Defence Forces. Delhi-based Akmas Drugs and Pharmaceutical Limited developed India's first indigenous room temperature stable drug for sickle cell disease SCD. SCD is a group of inherited red blood cell RBC disorders or hemoglobin disorders. Delhi's biomining project is likely to miss the 2024 deadline to clear landfill sites. As per Central Pollution Control Board, biomining is a scientific process of excavation, treatment, segregation, and gainful utilization of aged municipal solid waste. Odisha police traces illegal poppy farms deep within Similipal Tiger Reserve. It is a national park and tiger reserve located within Mayurbhanj district, Odisha. Performance audit by Comptroller Auditor General stated that Shipra River continues to remain polluted despite interventions of government agencies. It originates in Vindhya Range, Kokri Badri Hill, and flows in a northerly direction. Before we go, it's time to put your knowledge to the test in today's segment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of News Today. To get the answers to today's quiz and to download the PDF of News Today, make sure to check out the links in the description below.